Black Sheep Narrative, we are back.
Hello.
I love your intros. Hello. Say hello to Nick. And today we've got a special guest for you, Mr. Peter Voogd.
Happy
What's
to be
up?
here, man.
Yeah, we're happy to have you, dude. Some interesting story. Me and Peter crossed paths over a car sale. And what was funny was Peter came, he looked at this vehicle, my truck, and he walks into the warehouse and he comes back in here and he was like, "Oh, you podcast, huh?" It's like, yeah, we podcast. Like, I like the setup. I podcast too. Pulls up his podcast. We start looking. I was like, holy shit! Like, Peter's the man, dude. You've interviewed some people
For sure.
So
podcast is such a cool way to get the message out. So I was intrigued instantly because you have this cool office where it's the back room, and I'm like, you guys impact people. I love it. Yeah, I'm all about it.
Hey, we try.
Yeah.
We try. And you do too, man. So tell them a little bit about yourself, the group because you have a huge group that you inspire, and the podcast.
Well, I'm from a super small town. So I'm from a town in Oregon called Florence, 6,000 people. So was born in Oakland, California. Family's raised in Oakland, California. I'm six and a half. My mom and dad are like, I'm not going to raise my two sons in Oakland, California. Probably not the best place to raise kids.
Yeah.
Moved up to Oregon, grew up there. Mom had to work extremely hard, so she was really not at home as much. And
is it single?
No,
single
my dad was there,
okay.
But he had his issues of his own. Tried to work, had some addictions that kind of took over. So I was kind of fending for myself. So that's how I kind of became the entrepreneur mind. Stayed in Florence. Started when I was 15, 16. Never wanted to take the normal route. I couldn't stand seeing people so stressed out and frustrated. Everybody around me, everyone in my small town that I remember, whether it was workers, teachers, parents, friends, always had money problems. Always complained about money. Mm-hmm. Always complained about their boss. Hated what they did. And I'm 14, 15, 16, like, damn, there has to be a different way to do this. There has to be a way to fight this system and actually become successful. So I'm 16, and I somehow stumbled upon eBay when the internet was kind of getting its feet.
What year?
I don't even know. Early 2000s.
Yeah.
Early
when
2000s. It was brand new.
Yeah.
No one was. There was like Napster and LimeWire,
yeah.
and it was burning CDs.
Love that.
So I love Air Jordans, still do. So I bought a pair of Air Jordans at a store, and I sold and flipped them for like $90. And I had worked with my dad construction. My best friend had worked with my dad construction, and we had worked for $8 an hour. And the big breakthrough for me, just going back to like little pivotal points, was I remember he was shoveling sand. I told my dad, I don't want to do this. I'm like, I got to do something else. I want to go play basketball or something. So my friend's shoveling sand. He's working $8 an hour, and he makes $63 for the day. He's sweating. He's tired.
Yeah.
And I go and check my shoes on eBay, and I make $91. And I'm like, how did I just make $91? It took me 5 minutes, 10 minutes to make the post, and my friend just slaved for like 5-6 hours. And I was like, I'm on to something here. This is interesting. So I started buying more, selling more, doing drop shipping, and I really just got obsessed with it. And I was able to make a lot of money through high school just doing that. But because I'm in a small town, because my parents and the people around me didn't get it, I was just forced from so many conversations. That's not realistic. You can't actually do that. That you got lucky. It's not sustainable. You have to get a normal job. So I was able to, I couldn't really escape it. I'm so young, I don't know any better. So I get a normal job working 9 to 5 or working at a valet car dealership. Like I was valeting cars for like a local casino that just opened. And worked there for one summer, 3 months. And I remember sitting there adding up my paycheck, like, okay, I'm working 30, 40 hours a week times $7.25 an hour times 4 weeks times 3 months. That's no matter how hard I work, I'm going to make this. So it frustrated me still, and I always needed to escape the system in my head because I didn't like authority for some reason. I was always told what to do, and I wanted to be my own boss and be an entrepreneur. So left that, went to college at U of O, got into business school, realized that wasn't the route, got into sales, and when I hit sales, that's when things kind of took off because I finally could kind of get paid based off my work versus based off what someone thought I was worth. And did really well in sales. I dropped out of business school my junior year because I just didn't feel like my professor, I found out, had never ran a business. So I'm sitting in business school.
Taking directions, instructions.
From someone who's never ran a business, never been in the trenches, never done a marketing campaign, never failed, never lost money, never. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. And I always felt like an outcast for having these things that now I see are really true. Why would I go to business school and learn from people that have never ran a business? Well, it's just, that's the best thing you can do, the business. And I'm just like, no, it's not. Dropped out, pursued the sales thing. I did well in sales, and I wanted to help people and teach people and not just do sales myself, because I realized still my income was capped, because if I did all these appointments, I'd make the money, but I couldn't make money while I was sleeping. And a lot of people that I was around that were entrepreneurs at that time were like, you know what? If you only make money when you work more hours, you're not going to have real freedom. And I'm like, interesting. So I was able to work my way up in this company to be a district manager, and I was able to run a sales team. And I was 21, 22 years old, and that's when I learned about the power of obsession. I studied, I read, I was obsessed with becoming the best possible leader and impactor I can, and helping these kids make money in sales. Mm-hmm. And from there, I went from broke, struggling, stressed. I dropped out of college, and I didn't know what I was doing. I could make money in sales, but when you actually make money and actually lead people, it's a whole different ballgame. So I couldn't lead people. I didn't know how. I knew how to make money myself. I knew how to be self-sufficient, but I didn't know how to impact and lead people. Everyone quit. I didn't know how to motivate and inspire. And from that moment on, when I made six figures, I never stopped there. So I worked there 4 or 5 years. We did over $20 million. I helped so many young entrepreneurs make their first six-figure income. And when I left in 2012, 2013, I said, I feel like I've hacked the system in a sense, where I have this blueprint that I've created over the last 6 years. I've helped so many millennials. I'm a millennial myself. I've helped millennials, and I still have an impact over millennials. I've helped them do really well, escape the rat race, escape the matrix, and make money. And someone's like, you should write a book. And I'm like, I'm horrible at writing. I don't like writing. I actually don't like sitting down writing. I have anxiety.
There's no Chat GPT back then.
Exactly. I can't for sure. Or I probably would have used it back then. Yeah. So I sat for 8-9 months, and I'm like, people ask me all the time with my first book, 6 months to six figures, how long did it take you? How'd you do that? Why'd you do it? And I did it because you can ask my wife now, girlfriend at the time, I could not sleep because I knew so many people were struggling. And I felt like, because I put in so many hours at a young age, and I was able to hack the system, come from a small town and make six figures. I made almost 400K at 23. And at that time, that was unheard of. Now it's easier. You see people do it in crypto and all these things. But making 400K at 23 was hard to do. It still is for people listening. And I'm not downplaying that. But I was like, I have to get this message out there, because when I was sleeping, my message wasn't out there. I'm like, I know there's people that can benefit from this message. So I spent 8 to 9 months writing this book, struggling, frustrated. I wasn't even the same person. My wife could tell you. I was like just mad all the time because I couldn't get my message out there. Finally, after 8-9 months, I got it out there. I launched the book, and that's kind of what blew up everything else. Now the book has 6,000 or 7,000 reviews on Audible. It's almost at 1 million copies.
Which book is that?
6 months to six figures, my first book.
That's the one. Okay.
And it launched me into speaking. It launched me into entrepreneurship. It launched me into everything I'm doing now. And I found my passion back then of impacting and inspiring and motivating young entrepreneurs to be the best they can be, because it's what I wish I had growing up. And from then, I built the Game Changers Academy, which is one of the premier communities for young entrepreneurs. And we bring in guest speakers. We do events all over the world. I've spoken everywhere. At that time, another big breakthrough I had was I made my first 20K paycheck for the week. And it was working extremely hard. I worked 80 hours, 90 hours that week. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just made 20K in 1 week. Fast forward, I was able to make my first 40K in a week. And then I bought a house, my first house, and I had it for about a year. And I was able to flip that because we were moving to get a new house. And I think I made 75, 80K flipping. And I'm like, wait, hold on. All these little breakthroughs I had growing up, I made that 40K in a week, but I worked my butt off. This, I didn't really do anything. I just bought it and then sold it later for almost 80K. And I'm like, dude, real estate might be the move where I could build real wealth. So I would take all of my money I made from that point on and invest it in real estate. And now that portfolio has grown to be pretty big. So now my focus is giving back and helping people. I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a son, and that's kind of first priority. Business is second and third for me now. And I've been very blessed to be able to understand how money works and invest the money. So now it works for me. So I don't have to work
for it.
And I want to help people do that because this culture is so ass backwards. Everyone's stuck in the matrix. It's becoming harder and harder to get ahead, to make money. They're looking at wiping out the middle class, interest rates, inflation. People can't get ahead. It's like they don't want people ahead. So I want to be the voice to help people and say, hey, I've done it. I can do it. I've came from where you came from. I've had a rough past. I've gone through the trenches, and I know what it's like to be broke, and I want to help people become wealthy. Because it's a data set. It's not that difficult if you understand. It's just most people would rather escape reality and do everything except the hard work. You know what I mean? Like you guys are putting in the hard work, which is why you've built this. Most people don't want to do that. So that's a lot, but that's kind of a little bit of my story.
It is. It's crazy. So for me, like I see a lot of young people, like millennials especially, but also the generation after that, struggling right now. And I think people are waking up to, they don't want to do the 9 to 5, right? Like they see their parents and they saw how horrible it was and how my parents were depressed working a 9 to 5, right? I saw a lot of people that were just like going through the grind, but they drank themselves to death at night because they didn't like what they were doing
100%.
for a living. But there's also a lot of bullshit out there right now, right? Like when you were I grew up in the 2000s as well. Or I was born in 92, but I grew up in the 2000s with the .com.
We're similar.
Push. And dude, no one taught you how to do this shit, right? Now I feel like that's all you see on TikTok. Let me share the secrets. Like Amazon, we can buy from Alibaba and sell it back on Amazon. Look at this. Look at all these trends, So like what advice do you have for these kids that are probably fucking confused as shit and they're like, oh, I'm just going to try this. And then they just get shit on because it's so overinflated with people that are trying to do that.
I think you really have to put your BS meter on and see through the hype. The one thing I want to help people with is you have to take advice from people that you would trade places with that have the life you want, that don't just make money off what they're selling. They make money in real life. So someone asked me, you haven't done as much content. You're not doing a lot of content. You have so much good content. You have so much to say. Why don't you do content? Because I'm building a business. I don't make money off my content. I make money off my business. I'm building a business. I've built a business, real estate, all these things. So if people want to build a life on their terms, they come to me because they see I'm building a life on my terms. I'm traveling the world doing what I want on my terms with my wife and my kids. So it's sifting through the BS. It's not just looking at TikTok. Hey, this guy has a bunch of TikTok followers. My message to the youth is get offline first of all and get in tune with yourself and realize almost everything online is fake. Almost everything online is fake. Literally, Kanye just said, I don't know how you feel about Kanye, but he's funny to me. He just said a couple weeks ago, he's like, I want you guys to know every single thing Kim Kardashian does is fake. He goes, every single thing you see her do online is not real. It's staged. And then some other celebrities have always said they've swore by online is a fake world. You're seeing people's highlight reels as their life when it's just a snapshot. So I say get offline. I say find someone that you respect, that you can tell is a world-class human being first, who doesn't just make money off that course or product or TikTok and make money in real life, and they've done it for a while. So it's hard to do. And sometimes you have to go through the mistakes and you have to go through the waste of money. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I will tell you, I swear by investing in yourself, because I invested $10,000 in a Tony Robbins mastery. It was a business mastery back in 2012. And it was the first time I really invested in myself. And spending $10K, even think about now, spending 10 grand on yourself is tough to do. First of all, what else would you spend it on besides yourself and your mentality and your intellect and your network? What else would you spend it on? Most people spend it on everything except themselves. So I spent it. And looking back, I got a lot of knowledge and wisdom. I built a great network of friends from that group. But one person in the group, the next year we did a partnership and I made over 100K. So the 10K turned into 100K. So you could tell someone who's never invested, man, why'd you invest 10K in a stupid seminar? Because the 10K made me 100. Why would I not? Mm-hmm. But that was also Tony Robbins, who was proven. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He wasn't some random new guru. So yeah, I mean, a lot of people are taking advice from a 22-year-old life coach who has 20 grand. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So it's just sifting. You have to have your BS meters on, really. You have to see through the hype and understand the person behind the hype to make sure they're the real deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's hard to do.
It's very difficult to do, right? Because you can buy fake followers,
sure.
you know, you can buy fake views. So you don't know what's real, right? And they're just telling you like how to make money. It's easy. It's easy. Like, you ever hear that, you know,
For
like,
sure.
I'm like,
time usually
it's not
reveals.
fucking easy. It's not easy.
Time reveals.
Yeah.
I always wait a while to see what this person is, because a lot of people in the last, it wasn't that, I mean, the last 10 years, it's been easier to make money. Now it's getting harder for people. In terms of they were printing trillions of dollars, printing those money everywhere. But the problem was a lot of those people now are nowhere to be found. They lost all their money because they didn't multiply it. I think the people need to understand the purpose of money is to create more money and to make your money work for you. I think that's the difference in mentalities, where it's not about how much money you have or even how much you make. The difference between the poor, middle class, and wealthy, in my opinion, I learned this and everything changed money-wise for me. And you guys already have this mindset. The poor people think the purpose of money is to pay the bills. That's what they think in their head. It's like, money's to pay the bills. They go to work on Friday and they get their paycheck and they go pay the bills so they can survive. And you ask them, why are you working? I got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
That's why they work. Middle class usually uses the money on credit to get a good credit score, to borrow money, to pay things back later, to sometimes look wealthier than they are. That's middle class. Rich people understand the purpose of money is to make more money. It's like little soldiers. They send their money out, and the goal of the money is to bring back more money. And the purpose of making more money is freedom, to where money works for you, you don't work for it. A lot of people don't have that mentality. I see money as it's non-emotional. It's not good or bad. It doesn't judge. It's not that greedy people people say, oh, well, money creates greedy people. It's like, well, greedy people are greedy. Rich people aren't greedy. Good rich people are great. They give back. So it just depends on your perspective. People have the wrong data set that they've input in their head. That's what causes them to have the life they have. They have to have the right mentality.
Yeah. So what would you say to people? Like, what's some easy things that people can do like on a daily basis just to set them up for success, or just like the start? How would you start? Because it seems a lot when you hear it, right? But like, what's some daily habits or stuff that maybe you do that you think people can start doing and applying in their life
to put themselves in the right mindset?
First, it's clear thinking, not recycled thinking, not news thinking, not all their peers thinking. It's like taking a deep breath and getting clear, and dealing in reality is the first thing I tell people, and I tell myself when I'm struggling. Dealing in reality, like, why are you where you are? Like, what has put you exactly where you are? What decisions? Because every single thing you've input to your body, to your mind, and everything you've done is where you are today. Input equals output. So if you see successful people, they've just done different inputs to get to a better output. So I'd say first is start with a super powerful, strong morning routine, and don't look at your phone for the first hour. People go straight to their phone. They're reacting all day long. They're reacting all day. Don't react, right? That's the first thing, is put your phone away, take a deep breath. And I like to start every day with gratitude and appreciation. No matter when I was dead broke, when I made my first million, I still focused on gratitude, because it's impossible to be frustrated when you're grateful. So start with gratitude. Even if you're not where you want to be, you got to thank God that you can get up and go get it if you can. Some people can't. You're in an opportunity where there's a lot of different ways to make money if you get clear-minded. So the first thing is clarity on who you are, what your strengths are, what you want, and then thinking about, okay, what am I willing to give up to get what I want? A lot of people can tell you what they want, but if you go, what are you willing to give up? They go, well, not much. I just want to go this. I want to make 6 figures. But you got to give up a little bit. If someone said, how'd you build this? And you're like, I didn't give anything up, people would think you're lying. Did you give up some of your life, your sacrifice to build? Of course. You gave up something to go up, right? That's the first thing, is get clarity, get clear-minded. Like take a deep breath and get rid of all the noise out there. There's so much noise, so much chaos. Clear thinking is super important. Second thing I would do is do something every day that sparks your body. Work out, run, do sit-ups, do yoga, something to spark your body, because you can't separate your body from your mind. When you're stronger physically, you're stronger mentally. Right? I worked out this morning. I didn't really feel like it. I did anyways, because I knew I was doing this, and I wanted to be, I usually take Sundays off, and I'm like, I want to get a little workout in because it sparks my endorphins, and you can feel the effects of a workout 12 hours after. So I love working out, and it sparks my mind. But some people haven't worked out in years. They haven't moved their body in years. Like, I wonder why I'm sluggish. I don't think right. So spark your body. I think that's huge. And that could be any way you want. whether you're 18, whether you're 82. Next thing is read or study something that sparks your intellect based on a relevant skill or relevant business. So a lot of people will read any book they find or any recommendation they get. I like to tell people to be purposeful. Read or study something online about AI, about business, about e-commerce, about crypto, about starting whatever business they want to start, and study it a little bit for a half hour. Because when you study that, you start to get creative in your mind on what you can do. And if you study people that have been where you want to go, that have the lifestyle you want, and you study relevant businesses to your skills, it starts to make sense. You start to click. And if you start your day like that without your phone, you're ready to go already, right? Yeah. So just the simple things of start without a phone, study a little bit, write down your gratitude list, think things through, and then I like to create result rituals. So a lot of people don't have result rituals where it's like, you need to make money in your business. A lot of people will do everything in their business except what makes them money. They'll do everything except the things that make them money, that are proven to be profit-producing activities. So figure out in your business, if you're in business, what are the couple things that you've done that have produced the highest profits? Whether it's marketing campaigns, whether it's referrals, whether it's writing copy, whether it's editing your sales page, whether it's reaching out to potential corporations to speak. Profit-producing activities first. Now, you can have legacy activities like writing a book and stuff. I say it's the 80-20 rule. You want 80% of your time spent on profit-produced activities until you make your first 6 figures. Then you can start doing your 20% legacy play. Because when I was making 6 figures, I always spent 20% of my time always writing, creating content. I did something that was legacy-based that I never got paid for. So my 6 months of 6 figures book is a really good lesson. I didn't get paid a dime for almost a year. I've made $10K a month on that book for 10 years straight. Every month. I could live off just the book. Now, with my lifestyle and traveling, obviously I can't. But imagine making $10K a month for 10 years from something that you made no money on for a year. These days, the kids aren't willing to do the year. They're not willing to put the sacrifice in for a year. They're not willing to do these habits every day. They do it when they feel like it. So that's what I tell people is, and it's also a decision train where most people these days are so feeling focused. Whatever they feel like doing, they do it. And they don't have strong decisions. If you only do what you feel like, you're not doing very much. No one always feels like doing the hard stuff. So I say, if you only do what you feel like, you're not doing very much, and feelings are fleeting. So I say you got to make a decision first. It should be decisions, actions, feelings at the end. How do you feel? Let me ask you two. How do you guys feel when you're dreading a workout, but you work out? How do you feel after?
Oh, wonderful.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And you feel more accomplished too, especially when you're dreading it and you go in and crush it. You just have.
That's how you build self-worth.
Yeah.
So people need to get addicted to that feeling of accomplishment after not feeling like doing it. People don't feel like that. They're like, I don't feel like working out. I'm not going to work out. I don't feel like reading. I'm not going to read. I don't feel like doing the hard stuff, making the phone calls, making the orders. I'm not going to do it. And people who only do what they feel like live a very, very frustrating, disappointing life because you can't build a life based off feelings. Feelings are too fleeting. And it's like, it's manipulation. It tricks you, right? Everything I've done in the past couple of years. Now, do I give into my feelings sometimes? Of course, but I make sure the work is done first because now it's a whole different ballgame. Now I have a family to take care of, so I don't have the luxury of giving into feelings, giving into pleasures. I don't do that, right? Because I have a family to take care of. So people, if you're 17 and 18 watching this, start making decisions first. And whether you feel like it or not, do it anyways, right? Because that's how you're going to become successful. And that's how you build self-worth. Simply put, people who don't follow through on their word, they're killing their self-worth every single day. If they don't follow through with what they say they're going to do, they're killing their self-worth. And eventually they have no self-worth. And when you don't have self-worth, you're easily influenced. So if people are super easily influenced, there's low self-worth. You cannot influence an absolute beast. It's nearly impossible. Go try to influence a billionaire. It's nearly impossible because they know themselves. A lot of people don't know themselves. They'll follow anything because they have low self-esteem. So you got to build up your self-esteem with these habits you talked about that you asked me about first, and then go out into the world and go kill it. Yeah.
Crazy.
So I figured out lately, and I've known this for a long time, but it's finally clicking, and people talk about it all the time. You're a sum of the 3 or 4 people that you hang out with the most, you can only go so far without a group or people around you, successful people around you or whatever, and you want to step up. Like, who do you run around with? How did you find these people? Like, and because I feel like you can only go so far, and if you're giving by yourself, right? Yeah. And if you are giving, like, say for instance, you're giving 80%, you think you're giving 100%, but with people around you, they can boost you up to another level that you didn't even know that was missing, right? So how did you find people to bring into your group, or how did you seek out people to learn from? Like, what was that process like?
I think you either hang out with people that hold you accountable or people that let you off the hook, and I realized that. Because when I was broke, I looked around, and all of my friends were also broke. Now, here's the scary thing. You can't really escape your association. So all these people, like, I want to hang out with everybody I knew in middle school and high school. I can't leave them behind. Well, if they're not growing with you, never feel bad for outgrowing people that had a chance to grow with you. Don't feel bad for leaving them. You have to cut ties with people that hold you back. Life is way too short to be around toxic people, way too short. So for me, I realized when I was broke, a lot of my friends were saying, you're 22, it's okay to be broke. Well, really, it's not okay to be broke, especially with this much opportunity. You have an obligation to not be broke in this economy, especially if you provide for people. So I made a list of my maintenance friends and my growth friends, and I made a list of people that I wanted to connect with that had the results I wanted. And I made a list of my maintenance friends who kind of held me back. I still liked them, and I grew up with some of them, but they were holding me back. They were okay with mediocrity. They were okay with partying and drinking, and I wasn't, because I had big goals and visions. And you want to make sure you don't let people who have already given up on their goals and dreams talk you out of yours. That's a very, very scary thing. Imagine someone who has huge goals and dreams. They have huge aspirations. They want to change the game. They want to impact their family. They want to be the generation breaker for their family. But someone around them talks them out of that because they already gave up. That's a tragedy, right? So I made a list of these growth friends. Grant Cardone was one of them. And I made a list, and I said, you know what? I'm going to lower the time I spend with these friends, and I'm going to increase the time I spend trying to connect with these people. And I was relentless trying to connect with them. So it was adding value first. It was trying to get around people who already had been where I wanted to go. It started in my company I was a part of. I was trying to make 6 figures in that company, and there was already a group of people that have made $500,000 plus. So I reached out to them. It was easier because they weren't celebrity status like the Grants and like the Gary V's and all that. So I reached out to them, and that's how I got my first 6 figures. So the answer is I was relentless. I said, hey, I'm a young kid. I really want to get to the level you're at. I respect what you're doing. Is there any way I can just follow you around, or can we just have a conversation a week? And a lot of them would say no. Some would say yes. And I just did what they did. I followed their roadmap. I talked how they talked. I literally took action like they took action. And it happened. So people ask me all the time, they say, dead broke to 6 figures in 6 months. How'd you do it? That's the simple answer. I was broke, but I talked to people making $500K. How could I not get to 6 figures? It's physical. You could be an absolute idiot and still get there because you're just following what they're doing. Then I did the same thing when I got to 3, 4, 500K. I hired a millionaire mentor. This one I paid him $1,300 a month, so people could think I'm crazy, but why would you not pay someone that's already been there? He's super busy. I want to respect this time. I messaged him on Facebook. I messaged him so many times, and I said, hey, Jordan is his name. I said, I was super ambitious. I still am, but I'm a little toned down like I used to be, more than I used to be. And I said, just call me on the way home. He had a yellow Lamborghini on his, orange Lamborghini on his Facebook page. And I said, just call me on the way home. Please, just call me on the way home. Here's my number. Just call me. You have time. Call me on the way home. One day he called, and I sold myself to him, and he's like, I'll coach you for this. Send me the first payment. We'll have our first call. Done. He was the first millionaire I ever got in contact with. And that helped me go from $500,000 to 1.5, 2 million by 26, 27. So it's just being relentless. It's targeting a dream list of who you want to connect with, and it's trying to add value to them, or it's paying them if it's the right person. And I paid him $1,300 a month, but he's made me millions in different real estate deals and just changing my perspective, being around him. He lives in Vegas. Being around him and watching him do deals, listen to him talk to billionaires, it's helped me tremendously. Was that $1,300 a month worth it? Of course, because I made it back 100-fold. So it's just pinpointing. Gary.
So you went with him to like meetings? He brought you with him and stuff, so you could.
I hung out with him. We actually did some retreats together in Utah, 4 or 5 of them. So I heard him speak and stuff like that. And I went to Vegas to kind of job shadow him. He was a real estate investor and acquisition guy. So I just listened to him and watched him in his office, how he moved, his demeanor. That's what really impacted me, right? So that's what I did.
So when you talk about his demeanor, like that's that kind of like that self-confidence, right? So you were able to see
Certainty.
what that looked like and
no fear,
kind of replicate it.
How he moves, how he deals in business, how his $50 million deal could not go through and he doesn't change his emotion. He's not like, I was used to at that time, like emotional people, whiners, complain. Oh, man, I didn't get the deal. God, this sucks. I was used to that growing up, just complainers. And he's just like next. So I'm like, wow, that was a big breakthrough. I have breakthroughs for days from him, but that was one of them. And then I reached out, did the same thing with Gary Vaynerchuk. So 2013, I'm at an airport. No, Gary V's at an airport. I'm in Leavenworth, Washington. I'll never forget this. I'm on the balcony and I have a call with Gary V, 45 minutes. That changed my life as well. Grant Cardone, same thing. And now I've interviewed all kinds of crazy people, but these are people that actually, Patrick Bet-David's another one from Valuetainment, who kind of helped me when I was younger get my footing, and he saw the potential in me. So I want to be that person to a lot of younger people where they were that for me. And I was just relentless. I wouldn't stop. I had no fear in what they thought of me, which I think these days there's a lot of fear what people think. Yeah. I think the young generation's like, what are they going to think of me? I didn't have that because I wanted that lifestyle so bad because the biggest thing that drove me was I didn't want a boss or someone else telling me what I was worth and what to do, because I saw so many people around me growing up that hated their boss, that had to ask when to go to the bathroom. And I'm just like, how can someone live like that? But in a small town, it's easier to settle when everyone else settles. It's very easy to settle when everyone around you settles. And you're like an oddball for not settling. So I used to be mad at my past for a lot of things, how I grew up. My dad, my mom working all the time. I used to just resent that because I'm like, I didn't have a normal childhood, but that is what drove me. Good luck finding hungering kids with a perfect past. I can promise you, looking at both of you guys, how successful you are. You didn't have a perfect past. Maybe you did.
No.
Right? Exactly. That's why you're sitting here. So I cherish those tough times, and I cherish that hunger I got from being different, you know what I mean? So I want people to embrace that. I remember Eminem had a quote. He said, the second, he goes, I was so broke because I was using my mom's drug issues, being in a trailer park. I felt like I was a failure. I was a loser. I was nothing. He goes, the second I used my adversity to my advantage, my career exploded. So he said, the second I used my past being negative as a positive, my entire career blew up. And I took that personally. I'm like, you're right. You got to use your past, not as a crutch, but as motivation. I don't even know where I'm going. I don't even know what question you asked me, but
no, I love it. This is podcast
I don't even know where I'm
you,
going.
Dude. I love this stuff.
Yeah, we'll keep going, man. This is stuff I'm passionate about.
So you said that you didn't we touched a little bit about the book, and writing has always been interesting to me because it's hard as fuck to write, dude. It is.
It's not fun.
To sit down and knock it out. And you said you reached out to Grant Cardone multiple times to try to get a book to help him write? Or
he wrote me a quote because he already knew me.
Okay.
But this was back in, so the story was I reached out to him on Twitter, kept reaching out. He gave me a call. He was able to come speak to our academy members in 14 or 15, and he spoke to my academy members. He liked how I managed myself and liked how I operated. He invited me to do an interview with him at his Malibu place. So we did an hour-and-a-half interview. I think it's still on YouTube. It has 100,000, 200,000 views. And then prior to this, his assistant reaches out and says, I have a speech in Vegas I can't make. They won't pay my fee. It's only now this is a funny story. It's only $5,000. I'm sure your fee is higher. I had never been paid to speak. I was trying to get free speeches and I couldn't get them.
You're like, yeah, this is a little bit low.
I tried to play it off. I'm like, I'll do it. That's fine.
Yeah.
So this is a very important story I don't know if I've ever really shared. So I'm going to Vegas. I still remember the feeling of being like a fraud, being nervous. Now, I had ran a sales team. I was more qualified than ever, but mentally, I just didn't feel like I was worthy of getting paid to speak. So I'm on my way. I'm nervous. I'm scared. I'm like, I'm a fraud. I don't think I should be doing this. I can't believe they're paying me $5K. This is insane. Maybe they should pay someone else.
Like imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome,
Yeah.
100%. So I get there. I do it. I do well. I get good feedback. I get my 5K. Fast forward a couple of years. I'm asked to speak in Dubai at the Atlantis as the keynote speaker. They were either going to book me or Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy was a little older. They wanted some young energy. And if you know Brian Tracy, he doesn't have young energy. Great guy. He changed my life too with his books. But so they fly me first class to Dubai, pay me highly. There's 3,000 people in the crowd. There's princes, the CEO of Emirates Airlines there. There's like royalty in the crowd. I'm not nervous for one of the first times. And I am excited. And instead of having that, I can't believe they booked me, and they paid me heavily and paid $25,000 for my flight and my wife's flight and my mom's flight. But I said, my mindset was, of course they paid me. Who the hell else would they pay? There's no one that could do what I do. That's the mindset 3 years later. So my mindset went, same person, just different mentality. My mindset went from, I can't believe they're paying me $5K to, of course they're going to pay me and fly me to Dubai. Who the hell else would they pay? I put in the work. Mm-hmm. That's the mentality you want to have, but it only comes through work and sacrifice and actually having the right input for the right output. And I did well in that speech. I prepared so much that I wasn't nervous. The more you prepare, the less nervous you are. And I mean, of course I had my little jitters because it was Dubai and it was like, I didn't know what to expect. I'd never been to Dubai. If you've been to Dubai, it's a wild place. It's not even like, I don't even feel like it's a real place. It's crazy. I want to go back. But that it just shows. Grant Cardone sparked it. He gave me an opportunity. A lot of people don't take opportunities when people give it to them because their own self-doubt, their own insecurities. I took it because I knew I was going to maybe not have that again. So I crushed that speech. I've spoken all over the world, Tokyo, Dubai, Costa Rica, I mean, you name it. So now it's a lesson learned that you got to take advantage of opportunity and you got to have no fear when you're reaching out to people because you sometimes more fulfillment, I think, comes from a lot of these entrepreneurs, a lot of these big names. I think they're understanding as they get older, and I am too, that succeeding yourself is one thing. Changing someone else's life is a whole different fulfillment. And I think they're realizing that. Why do you think some of these actors, they make hundreds of millions of dollars? They're like, yeah, I just want to give back and help people now. I just want to help kids. After their 100 million and all their whatever they did, they're like, I just want to help people. It's like, yeah, you finally figured it out. That's the game. Mm-hmm. It's giving back. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of these people are now proud to see me where I am because they knew, I knew that kid had some ambition, and I still shout them out. Anything they need, I'll help them out, and I'll share their stuff. I sold a couple thousand books for Gary Vee back in the day, just because extra energy for me, sharing it with my community, going extra mile just because he helped me. Mm-hmm. He didn't have to. So I try to pay back. Everything's energy, and I try to pay back that energy they gave me. So it's cool how it comes around for full circle. Now, mm-hmm. if I get booked to speak, what's cool that I see now is because I've put in the work and I've done the inner work, I can speak, I could do these podcasts and come from the heart and from the gut.
Right.
Because I've been there. Yeah. It's just experience. A lot of speakers are like, I'm going to say this is the exact script I got to say. They study and they memorize. Like, I don't do that. I come from the heart because that's the best content. I can't do the scripted stuff anymore. So, but back to the book, I don't actually recommend writing a book because it is really hard. My wife will tell you I'm not the same person when I write a book. I'm like always like irritable. I'm always pissed off because it's not fun.
Yeah,
it's really not fun. Like,
yeah. And I'm sure the type of person I am, and I'm sure you are too. It's almost like you're a perfectionist.
Yeah.
So
you want to get the message
out. I would see yourself like rewrite, like you write it and you're like, no, this isn't good enough, and rewriting it over and over. I could totally see myself doing that. So how many books do you have?
3.
You have the 6 months to 6 figures, the 7 rules to 7 figures, and what's the third book?
Entrepreneur's Blueprint to Massive Success. That was in between.
In between.
Okay. Yeah. So 3 books. I'm probably done. To be honest.
You're done.
We'll see if there's.
You have them on Audible?
Yeah.
Like where people can listen to them. Did you speak it or did you pay someone?
I spoke it.
Oh man.
I just figured Tony. A lot of the top people did it, so I just figured it's a lot of work. It took a lot of time, but now it's there forever. So I'm big on like sacrificing the moment for the greater good, for delayed gratification later. So I did it.
Yeah. Well, that's what I actually prefer Audible anyhow, because you can, on the car ride, like you say, like if I'm going to be in the car driving somewhere, I often listen to podcasts now, but it's like, am I going to listen to fucking music? Right. Like that's not going to help develop me.
Yeah, sure.
So Audible books. Yeah. Those are great.
It's a great mentality. Why do you listen to personal growth? Just to grow?
Yeah. It's just, like I said, it's like, this is time that I'm sitting in my vehicle and I could listen to, I don't know, Anya or Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Anya.
Yeah.
Or I could listen to something that's just going to engage my brain. Dude, that's the other thing too, is when I go to the gym, I don't listen to music half the time. Half the time I'm listening to either a podcast, or this is the craziest thing. You should try this sometime. I think we've talked about this before, but one time my headphones died on me when I was in the gym, but I didn't want to be bugged by people. So I just left them in dead silence. And it was actually super cool. And now I try to do that at least once a week, where I just put my earbuds in and I don't listen to anything. I just it's just dead silence. You can't hear people around you, and your brain just starts to just work. And I've had some great epiphanies out of that. Some great ideas where I'm like, oh man.
They say if you sit still for 20 minutes in silence, like after 20 minutes, you start having like cool visions and like ideas and that, because it's clear thinking.
Yeah.
Most people never have a clear thought. It's always recycled from the news, from their parents, from their past.
But they think it's theirs.
They think it's theirs. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they heard it on TikTok or Instagram but forgot, but regurgitate it so they feel good about themselves.
100%.
And it's like, this is my idea. A lot of people don't have original ideas anymore.
I know.
I agree.
And it takes that. It takes silence. It takes like sitting in the morning and really trying to like access that different part of your brain that you don't access because you're always so busy. Everyone's so busy.
Yeah. Well, they want to fill it with stuff too because it's uncomfortable, right?
Especially if
like
they have a
no one, like especially if you've never sit in silence before and just like don't have anything, no screens, no Netflix, no fucking nothing, right?
What am I going to do?
Right? Just listen to yourself for a second, and then your voices come out, and you're like, I don't want to hear these. I don't want to listen to this shit. Yeah, it's difficult.
It's important what you're saying.
Yes,
because most people don't do that. They escape reality. Yeah. If their reality is not good, they escape it. Music, sporting events, drinking, drugs, girls, porn, all kinds of stuff. And then they think that when they get back to their reality in real life, it's better, but it gets worse. And it's never better because they always escape it. How to get better in life is to be better and do better by turning your free time into value. If you want to make millions in this economy, figure out how to solve big problems, figure out where there's issues, and solve that by understanding your passion, your skill level, something that's like you love doing, and then mix that with a result, and you'll be able to make money. But you have to do what he's doing. You have to turn your free time into value. If you're in the car for an hour and you listen to music, you might feel good in the moment, like, yeah, I'm listening to some great music. Yeah. But nothing is sustained past that moment. If you listen to an hour business podcast from a billionaire, after that hour, you're like, damn, I feel rejuvenated. I have different knowledge. I'm sharper than I was before. I had a time when I was in sales where I had a system where Monday through Thursday, I only listened to personal growth, nothing else. Weekends, I listen to music, but only personal growth. Brian Tracy, all kinds of different personal growth guys, business guys, and it changed my entire life because I was thinking like those successful people that I was listening to. And it was magical what happened to my results. What you put in is what you get out. If you put junk in, you're going to get junk out. Most people with a crappy life put crap in their mind. Most people that are fear-based watch the news all day. And people that are fearful, their life goal is to get other people fearful so it makes them feel better about living in fear. And we see that everywhere now. There's fear everywhere, and you got to change that with faith. Replace your fear with faith, and you're going to be in a whole different ballgame because there's so much abundance out there. There's so much money to be made. But if you have a bad money mindset, if no one around you had money growing up, you don't think there's any money. Another big breakthrough I had that I think I want to share because it'll help people is I'm almost going to quit my business, and I move up to Seattle. I almost quit because I'm struggling. It's easy to quit. That's why people quit. It's easy. The hard part is to get through it and to push through the tough times. Almost quit. The recession happens in 08, 09. There's no money to be made in my head. My small town's making me small-minded. I'm thinking, dude, there's a recession. How the hell am I going to ever make money? No one makes money in recessions. Little did I know that's when the 5% make the most money. So I get invited to this small mastermind where someone's speaking about business and personal growth. I was desperate in a sense. And something the guy says sticks with me to this day and has made me so much money because of the different mentality shift. I thank that guy all the time. He says, you guys have to realize, and this guy had a great lifestyle. He was younger. He had a great car. He had a wife. He had a kid. And I'm just like, that guy's a beast. Like, he's doing it right. He has freedom, flexibility. And he said, when the economy's down, when there's a recession, the money doesn't disappear. It just transfers hands to the successful people who understand supply and demand, who understand economics, who understand where the money's going. And I said, oh my gosh. And it made me feel a little dumb, because I actually did think the money disappeared. Like, when there's a recession, people are like, the money's gone. No, it's not gone. It's going in the hands of the wealthy. Whether it's a 17-year-old or an 80-year-old, it's going into the hands of people who understand how to play the game and understand where the money's going. They follow the money. It's happening again. Governments printed 80% of what's in circulation now, they printed the last 4 or 5 years. Trillions and trillions of dollars they're printing. And people are over here working for their money when the government's printing money. It's pretty wild. On the contrary, they're working for it. And then after they work for it, the government says, hey, you got to pay us a bunch so we could run the government while they're printing money. Mm-hmm. Are you kidding me? That's insane. That's why you got to try to make money work for you. And it starts with trying to be more of a producer versus a consumer. Right now, we're producing content. We're not consuming it. We're producing. You guys are selling stuff that makes people better and healthier. You're producing stuff. Most people just consume all day long. It's good to consume the best stuff. And how do you know if it's good? Does it improve and enhance your lifestyle? Does it improve and enhance your relationships? Does it improve and enhance your bank account? Buy that stuff. But everything else that you're doing to escape reality is killing you. Mm-hmm. People consume too much, and we're teaching the younger generation to grow up being consumers. You want to grow amazing and successful kids that are warriors? Spend half as much as you're spending on them and twice as much time. People don't realize that. They spend so much on toys and all these things. My kids never, like, every time he asks me for something, I'm like, no, you don't need that. Don't you want to do experiences with the family and stuff? He's like, yeah, now he doesn't really ask for anything. Super smart kid, but I don't want him to grow up being a consumer. I want him to be a producer. So once again, I don't remember what question you asked me, but I love vibing with you guys because it's all good. Fun. But this is stuff that's on my mind that I just are common things I see in society that are killing people's progress. They're killing people's goals and dreams. They're killing people's finances. Mm-hmm. They're just consumers everywhere. Yep. Companies are spending billions and billions on getting people in buying moods. And Instagram and TikTok and they had the most deadly feature come out last year, unlimited scrolling. You used to online, when you're done scrolling on all your followers' content, when you're done scrolling their content, what does it say? You're done.
Yeah, there's nothing left.
There's no more of that. Yeah. They added instant scrolling, and their entire focus is putting in an algorithm that steals your time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They just want you on the platform.
That's it. Longer. They don't care if it hurts your relationships, hurts your bank account, hurts your family. They could give an absolute shit. They just want your time and your money. Yep. So I don't like those platforms. I put out content to impact and inspire people, but I have a game with myself. I will never, ever scroll because I'm like, you guys aren't going to play me.
Yeah.
And there's nothing
that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I'll miss messages from people on Facebook, and then I feel bad because they're like, why didn't you answer me back on Instagram, Facebook? It's because I'm not on there for social. Why do you feel bad though? Well, because it could be whether it's about an event or something, like a friend's birthday party or whatever, and I missed it. And the reason I missed is because when I go on social, I really am only on there for the business. It's to get on there, to put out what I need to put out. And when you're doing it and you're trying to grow your personal brand like I am, it's like you have to do it for the business, you do it for the personal, and then it's like I try and get out. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not on there liking other people's posts. I'm not on there, But when you're on there, you'll see some funny shit. I always share shit like I did about the Donald Trump, but that's because I'm like really engaged with what's going on in like the economy and political landscape. You
need to be.
Yeah, you have to be. But but outside of that, it's like I'm not really seeing what my friends are doing, and I'm just in and out, boom. And
I don't look at anyone's stories anymore. I don't do any of that stuff.
So I feel kind of like, as a friend, I'm not being a good friend, right?
But from that perspective. But you are, because you're protecting your time. You're becoming more valuable. You're sharpening your skills. Maybe you're a better friend to people in person, better business owner. So Tim Ferriss told me, he said, you have to be, if you really want to reach the next level of success, he goes, you have to be okay with not responding to people. And I said, wow. And I wasn't at the time. Sense, I always felt bad. And there's these little things that everything I get is from people at a higher level than me. I'm realizing now on this podcast, almost all my philosophies are from
they have to be
me either digging deep or it's from people that have been where I want to go. And I remember asking Grant, same question. How do you not respond to everybody that wants your attention? He goes, how can I impact billions if I'm responding one-on-one? Yeah. And I'm like, you can't. So that now I'm so in tune with myself and my priorities of my family and my businesses. And I don't feel bad at not responding to anybody. If you have my number, great. If you don't, 99% of people don't. So I like that. Yeah. But if you do, then you're a real friend.
Yeah.
You know what
I mean?
I
have your number.
You're a real friend.
Real friend.
That's why I'm here. He doesn't have it yet. So
something.
Hopefully soon.
Something that you spoke about, though, you both touched on it, was the imposter syndrome. And it's really interesting. So there's another guy that owns, and he's like the one guy I look up to in the supplement space because he did it all himself. A lot of these companies have huge, $1 million corporations backing them, throwing money into them. But there's one guy that I followed him for the longest time. And he started a supplement company with a small $20,000 loan, and now he's doing like $40 million a year.
That's amazing,
right? But he talked on one of his. He blew up through YouTube. He has this like vlog, and he shows, and he does like the craziest like endurance athlete type shit. But he talked on there one time about how he went through this period when it was slow growth for the company. Because like the first 5 years, and that's where we're at too, it's like real slow growth, and then he exploded. But that first 5-6 years, he was like, he would go to bed at night and he couldn't sleep because he was like, I'm a failure, like the business is failing, it's not growing, like what am I doing? Do I need to pack it in? And then he'd wake up in the morning after a night of like real little sleep, and he was like, all that was out the window and was just boom, go, right? And he would just push. And so that's kind of like that imposter syndrome, right? And that's what I deal with almost nightly. It's like I go to bed, it's like, and I can't sleep because I have all these thoughts in my head, like, what could I have done different? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? And what, and I can't shut it off. And thankfully he told me, he told that story because it's like, okay, like I'm not the only one going through this. Other people do too. But how do you get past that?
Well, I think you don't get past it. I think you realize that's why your business is going to be so successful. That's the answer. I had the same thing. So I think imagine having your business not be where you want it to be and you're sleeping like a baby.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah,
then you're not waking up hustling, ready to go. So I think you need that. I think feelings are good indicators of where your life's headed. And if you feel inadequate and you feel, because me making my first million was, I didn't sit there like, now my bank account's at $1 million. It's just over time, I felt like an imposter because 80% of my family has money problems and I'm sitting here making millions.
Yeah.
But when 80% of my family was watching sporting events all day or watching Netflix or escaping reality or drinking their ass off, I was grinding up at 5 a.m. doing P90X. So of course I have this. Of course they don't. It makes sense. And can I give back? Yes, I want to help people, but I also have to realize that all those sleepless nights, all that whole year of me feeling like, why am I writing a book? I don't deserve to write a book. I just had mentors to remind me, you are worthy, and yes, you should. And then something hit me a while back where we're such a bleep in existence. We're like this little earth in all this huge galaxy. Like, what does it matter what people think? So now I don't care as much what people think. If I'm pure and I do what's best, it doesn't matter. And there was a stat a while back on Twitter of someone that died. There was someone famous that died, and there was how many times they were talked about online, like their Google search and their name. And within like a year of their death, it went to almost zero. So they were one of the most talked about people in the world. 1 year after death, zero.
Nothing.
Zero. Gone.
Yep.
No one gives a shit. Gone. So why would you fear people when you're alive when a year after you're dead, and this is a celebrity. You think if you die, people are going to talk about you for the next 100 years? You can fake yourself and be like, I'm going to be a legend. That's great. But don't sacrifice the most important things in your life while you're alive or fear people realizing that when you die, no one cares in a year. It's it's an exhilarating thought because you're like, oh, I can live my life. So that changed me when I realized like we're such a bleep in existence. Why are we fearing people so much?
Yeah.
That's my message to the youth is like, get off your phone. Stop comparing your life to all these fake influencers online that are your age that take 5 days to do one video and take an hour and a half to put their makeup on and they only look like that.
Yeah.
Don't compare. There's suicide rates are out of control because of this.
Yep.
That sucks.
Yep.
It's wild. Just put your phone down. And if you really want to be a beast, if you're 16 years old and you're like stressed out because social media and you don't have the following you want, I promise if you put that down and become better in real life, you will be light years ahead of those online influencers.
Yeah.
If you become better in real life, you actually build a real influence in real life, build amazing friendships. And my advice to young people is while everyone else is the majority and becoming the majority, you lead the majority. If you lead the majority and you don't become the majority, you will be very successful. But you got to put your phone down. You really do.
Yeah, I feel for young people right now. And even for me, like I'm sure for you too, growing up in the 2000s, like we saw everything from, I was on one of the first platforms like Zanga and going into MySpace, going into Facebook, going into Instagram, going into Twitter, going in like you grew up and that's all you know, right? So even for me, I have times where I have to check myself where it's like, dude, what am I scrolling for? Like I'm going to look back on my life and I can't even tell you what I was looking at. Like, what did I look at all day?
For sure.
Nothing. You can't remember anything. No. Like, oh, I'm just sharing memes with my friends. I couldn't tell you what memes I even shared, you know? And I'm like thinking back, I'm like, dude, when I'm on my deathbed looking back, like, I'm going to be pissed at myself if I'm like, dude, all I did was spend my time on social media. Yeah. Like, how much time did I miss scrolling versus what I could have been doing?
Right.
How do you see, everyone get on their phone and see what your screen time is.
How do you do that?
My daily average is an hour.
What do you see?
That's good.
Go to settings and go to screen time.
Oh, I'm afraid because
mine's an hour.
I may not be on social a lot, but where do you see it? Settings, what?
Settings and then screen time. Oh, you don't have an iPhone.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, I don't have an iPhone,
but
so it doesn't show me.
Screen time?
Yeah. What does it say?
Where?
Settings right here.
Yep, I'm in settings.
And then go down right there.
Screen time.
Where are you at?
What does it say?
Where do you? I'm in screen time. Understand how much?
Let me see.
I don't know. Where do I click? Is that right?
Why doesn't yours say it?
Screen time, lock screen time, share across, communication limit, screen distance, app and website activity.
Yeah, click on it.
Oh, I didn't have it turned on.
Oh.
Now you can. Now you'll see. You'll be able to monitor your shit.
App.
So most people's is like 8 hours, 8 to 12.
Which is
reported. Oh, so as you use your iPhone, screen time will be reported here now. So
okay.
now
So let's do 8 hours times 7. That's 56 hours a week times 4. 224 hours a month. People are on the screen. Times 12. That's 2,700 hours a year.
Yeah, that's wild.
People are on their screen doing nothing.
Nothing.
Wasting their life. And they wonder why they're frustrated. They wonder why they're comparing people. They're comparing themselves to others. They're wondering why they're not where they want to be. Get off the phone. Yeah. Use this as a weapon. Like skill sets are weapons. Either this controls you or you control it.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you, this has made me millions and millions and millions of dollars. And on my own terms. I could travel the world and do what I want from this. But I had to be very purposeful and particular on how I used it. Yeah. Now my screen time's down to an hour. So I make more on this, and I'm not saying this to brag, but to inspire people, and I'm on my phone less than most people.
Yeah.
Use this as a tool. This can't make you a ton of money. How much money have you made? How much money have you done in the business by talking to people on this? A lot. I heard you on a conversation when I was with you, right? Talking to a business partner or something. So it's like, this can make you a lot, but not if you let it play you. Mm-hmm. These companies want to play you, and they want to spend billions on these algorithm things that make you stick on their platform instead of be with your kids. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a pity.
So let me ask you this. So you have your podcast, right? What's the name of the podcast again?
The Young Entrepreneur Lifestyle Podcast.
Okay. Now you've interviewed, so like you said, you did an interview with Grant Cardone?
Grant a couple times, Robert Kiyosaki, David Goggins, a lot of people.
David Goggins. What was that like?
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, he's
intense.
Freak of nature, huh?
I like him because he doesn't really care about almost anything except being a badass and working out, being himself. Doesn't care about money. You could be like, hey, we're going to pay you $100,000 to speak here. I'm not available. It's not like, oh, okay, I'll move my schedule. He's so in tune with who he is.
Yeah.
He doesn't put money first, and it's just inspiring to me.
Yeah.
So it was cool to talk to him. I think, yeah, that
He's
was great.
just his mindset is just a freak, like a dude that could put his body through that much punishment, like doing the ultra marathons, pissing blood,
100-milers.
fucking,
Even just the Navy SEAL stuff.
What the
Yeah.
fuck?
I don't know if I could do the Navy SEAL stuff.
Yeah.
Just that. And he did it. He did Hell Week 3 times, I think.
Yep.
Crazy.
But it makes, I think another topic we should talk about real quick is the importance of putting yourself through hell. Because if you don't, the world will. If you don't put yourself through tough times, the world's going to force you to have a tough life. So all my successes are worth more because of all the stuff I had to go through, the tough times, like the sleepless nights, like you say, the being broke, the embarrassment, the loneliness, even like a lot of my tough physical challenges, like working out and wanting to be healthier. The times where I pushed myself the most is the times that I felt like I got the strongest. So I just don't think a lot of people put themselves through uncomfortable situations, especially younger. They always want to be comfortable. They always want to base things off their feelings, and they never get tougher. That's why a lot of the young culture is actually really weak.
Oh, dude.
They're weak-minded.
You know, I've been watching on television, they have this documentary series on like, have you ever heard about the USS Indianapolis? Like what they went through? Like
Maybe.
they got sank by the Japanese submarine.
Okay.
And they jumped in the water.
Is that when all the sharks ate
and the
like
sharks
the majority
were
of
eating
them?
their asses?
Yeah.
And there was nobody knew the ship was missing. They didn't get an SOS off in time. But, you know, I watched that, and I watched, you know, documentaries on, like, just the guys in World War II and storming the beaches of Normandy and the shit that they went through. And I just look at, like, our generation and this young generation that when it's wartime, it scares the hell out of me because, like...
Not only it's wartime, I don't even know if we want to talk about this. Yeah, we can... they're not ready for war, but also they can just change who they are in 4 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about it.
Not only that, they could be like, I'm a girl.
Yeah.
That's even crazier.
Well,
not only are they not ready for war, they can freaking think anything's
I think
easy.
it goes back to what you're saying about feelings, right? People, it's all about feelings.
Right.
It just, that's all it is now, right?
And that's
it's whatever I feel. It's so how do you get people out of that mindset?
Right.
But also, like, feelings don't dictate what you do, which is important too, right?
Fast forward.
Right, and I think that's what, like, I'm looking at, like, this younger generation and, like for example, my kids even, and it's like I tried to bring them up the right way, and, you know, well, my one kid, he's a teenager, right? So he's in high school, and so he's at that
Fun
teenage
times.
age, but he, you know, it's like, I don't want to eat this, and I don't want to do this, and he just does what he wants. And that's what kind of like watching these documentaries on the USS Indianapolis, the average age of the sailor that was on that boat was 18. Some of them were 17 years old. Some of them were 16 that got signed off waivers from their parents to join the military. And it's like, God damn, like these guys went to defend their nation and
I just,
damn.
yeah,
That
I truly believe that, like, okay, you fucking throw their phone away. Like, people adapt so quick. Like, I do believe that this generation can step up if need be.
I think they can.
I really
too.
do. I think
agree
like
with you on that.
genetically they can fucking step up. Like,
I agree with you.
if they put the phone down,
If they get put to the flame,
put to the flame, they'll step up.
they'll
Men
adapt.
don't step up till they have to.
Yeah.
And when they have to, they'll go to war.
Yep.
But they wait till they have to.
Yes.
Which is a problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
So
your answer about the feelings, it's just fast forward thinking. That's all it is. 99% of people who base things off feelings get their ass kicked and always are stressed out, frustrated, anxious, depressed. Always. It's like someone going through life on feelings will always get hit hard later on. Like if you develop yourself and you base things off decisions, not feelings, when times are tough, you'll dominate the rest of your life. But with these kids, they have to learn the hard way. What do they say about the surgeries of people, boys becoming girls? 9 out of 10 end up extremely bad and they regret it. So someone in their feelings needs to be like, hey, bro, you can't do this. Look at the stats. Your ass is going to regret this in 3 years. Look at the stats. Yeah, I'm in the moment. Yeah, that's why you're going to get your ass kicked in 5 years. This, like, life kicks people's ass that don't take it serious.
Yeah.
And think they could just be like, I'm a dog. I'm a girl. Dude, it's embarrassing that people let that happen. It's embarrassing, really is.
I liked and I was going to ask you this question, but I liked how you talked about relentlessness. It seems like when you talk to a lot of, like, millionaire. I've talked to a couple millionaires. I never talked to a billionaire, but like, if you just watch videos of them or whatever, they're all like, if anything, they're all fucking relentless. Like, they don't take no for an answer. And if they do, they find another way around. Right. And like with you, for instance, you talk about being in people's DMs and you constantly, and I'm sure that like when they weren't answering DMs, you would find a Gmail account or whatever their email was. But I feel like, to tie this in with feelings, people are fear rejection. Yeah. So like they'll be like, yeah, I just messaged once. Like they didn't get back to me, so I guess that
screw that guy.
Screw it, fuck them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like for successful people, it's like, nah, man, I kept going. Like it didn't matter. Like I have this goal in mind. I'm gonna do whatever it takes.
That's the difference. These people do it because they feel like they have to, because it's part of their daily routine. They're like, I have to reach out. It's part of what I have to do to be successful. But they don't want the end goal bad enough. That's the difference. Mm-hmm. They don't want the end. I was relentless because I wanted the end goal. I didn't want to work for someone so bad. I didn't want to have someone tell me what to do so bad because I hated it so much growing up. Yeah. I hated teachers telling me what to do. I hated authority. So I still can't stand it. It's the weirdest thing. I cannot be told what to do. I almost always do the opposite. I can't control it. It's like, it's a problem.
So, interestingly enough, my son, my stepson, who's 15, like that's how he is now. And that's the other thing, because like sometimes I'm like super pissed off and I'm like, God damn it. Like, but then on the flip side, it's like, that is the mentality of like someone who...
An entrepreneur.
Yeah. And so I kind of like, maybe this is a good sign.
Yeah.
He doesn't like authority either, huh?
He doesn't like authority. Yeah. He wants to do what he wants to do, and it's going to be his way or the highway.
And once he finds like some people around him that are older, that are mentor that maybe have
help direct him. Yeah.
Those people are deadly in entrepreneurship in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, because I feel like the A and B students are working for all the companies the C students own.
Yeah.
Because like, I know a lot of people I know from high school and college that were straight A students are working in the system.
I agree.
They hate what they do.
I agree.
Perfect grades, but they have no freedom.
It's funny for me. I come from Pittsburgh, and a lot of my friends, it was like 99% graduation rate that we were going to college. And a lot of my friends stopped and actually worked blue collar over there because it was the pipelines, it was oil, it was like, and I had a couple of my friends that did well, like went to med school and like finally graduated like 2 years ago from med school. But my buddies that fucking stayed, like now they have their own businesses and they have HVAC businesses and they're crushing
a lot of money, yeah.
Way more than my buddies that were in school. Like it's crazy. And they were always told like, dude, you're not going to do anything with this.
But who was telling them that?
The teachers.
Making 40K a year.
Yeah.
You're not going to follow my teachings. You'll never be successful.
Yeah.
Actually, by not following your teachings, I will be successful because I'm not a sheep. And I'm not going to actually follow the system. I'm going the opposite way.
Yeah.
You follow the system, it says you might get wealthy at 65 when you have 10, 15 more years to live. But the average expectancy is 78 years. So you finally retire at 65. What do you have, 13 years?
13 years to live,
Most people don't want to live. I have some family that finally retired, and the last 5 years before he was retiring, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to travel, I'm going to play golf, I'm going to do everything. He hasn't left his couch in 5 years.
Yeah.
Damn.
So I like to
get rich early. That's my advice. Get rich early.
I'd like to end and talk about this, if you don't mind, because we talk a lot about mental health on this podcast. Coming from a military background, like a lot of people, and there's a lot of millennials, and depression is at the all-time high, right? And when you're doing anything, especially like noble pursuits or like you're goal-oriented, you're going to fall into like depression or anxiety or doubts in your mind of like, am I going to make through, you're going to be poor. Like, how did you get through those times? Like, how did you break through those cycles of like, no, I am good enough. Like I can fucking do this.
I mean, it's comparing myself to who I was yesterday versus other people's stories. I used to compare myself to everybody else, and it was deadly to my mentality. It definitely got me in a bad state because I'm like, he's my age and he made 40 million. I'm struggling. This is not fair. He has this company. He has way more followers. That was the immature me comparing myself to everybody else. Comparison is the ultimate misery. When I started comparing myself to who I was yesterday and only myself, I started to have small daily wins, progress here and there. and continuously started winning because I was bettering my best. So the only person you should compare yourself to is who you were the day before, and only focus on things you can control. You can't control the economy. You can't control the government. You can't control who your parents are. You can't control your past. You can't control your boss. You can control your input that equals your output. So all I focused on controlling was what I put in my mind, what I put in my body, who I was around, who I connected with, and what action I took every single day. And that changed my life. Only focus on what you can control. A lot of times, Jim Carrey says depression is people need deep rest from the character that they're playing to the world that's not really them. They're trying to put on a front to be someone they're not. If you drop the need to be liked and you find a way, find God, something, get pure, you will feel way better. No comparison. You're on this earth for such a short amount of time. No comparison. And you start actually only focusing on what you can control, life becomes so much better. And I've been there many, many times. And something just clicked. When I stopped fearing people, something clicked. When I stopped fearing what people thought about me, something clicked. I started becoming way more successful and way more fulfilled. And I didn't chase happiness because that's fleeting. I chased purpose and I chased progress, and that made me way happier. There's nothing that makes a man happier than being purposeful, being useful, and being progressive, like they're progressing, right? I can guarantee you sit on a beach for a month by yourself, you're loving it, you're on a beach, you wouldn't be happy because you're not progressing, you're not useful. That's how men are. So be useful. Most people aren't useful. They're not. They just consume and they consume and they consume. The more you consume, the more depressed you're going to get. Be useful. And another thing is get off yourself. Get off yourself and get on purpose on helping other people. There was a study done about people that don't want kids. And they followed them. I don't know the exact study, but they said, because this generation, it's weird. They're like, they're portraying like, don't have kids, live your life without kids, like just weird stuff. Like they're attacking strong families. It's pretty much whatever people attack is what we need the most. Mm-hmm. God, strong families, strong men, not feminine men. So the point is, make sure that you only focus on things you can control, and the rest will take care of itself. I really do believe the rest will take care of itself if you get on purpose and off yourself. So what I was saying is, people that are selfish are the most unhappy long-term. So if they're like, I need to be successful, I have to figure this out, I feel bad, if it's all it's stressful. I've been there. But if you're like, you know what, I'm going to focus on helping other people get over this depression. I'm going to focus on doing what I can to become more valuable and more progressive to help others. You just shift. It's weird. Mm-hmm. So every time I'm on myself, I do get a little stressed out. But when I'm on my family and on purpose and helping my wife and helping my community and my team and my partners and my employees, I feel way better. I'm off myself. But I do agree that it's asinine that there's not better systems in place for veterans and for people that actually go to war to experience things no one can even imagine, and they come back and there's nothing that sets them up for success. It pretty much frustrates the hell out of me. Mm-hmm. So I don't like that aspect, and there needs to be better systems in place, because the people putting those systems in place even don't know what it's like to be over there. Yeah. My brother's been to war, my best friend's been to war, so trust me. Yeah. So that kind of stuff, it also makes me go against the system even more. Yeah. I don't respect them. I can't stand them because of that kind of stuff. Yeah. The system works backwards, unfortunately. The government, the VA and the government pushes money to the veterans, but what we figure out is, if veterans do seek out help and they actually show that they are progressing or getting better, the VA cuts their funding. So you actually get less money a month if you tell them like, hey, I'm getting better. Yes, that's one of the systems that is against a veteran. So if you end up going into the VA, they will tell you that straight up too. So what's the solution? Just getting them the right help and the right programs. It's basically not being able to slash their funding even when they show progression, right? Because you get a percentage every month of whatever you're rated on, and if it is mental health wise that you're rated X amount and you show progression, that you're not having anxiety attacks twice a week now, you only have it once a week, well, that diagnosis now goes from this diagnosis to this diagnosis, and that percentage changes from you're getting paid 30% to only you're getting paid 10%. So they're cutting your funding. So you're going to Why would you want to improve?
Why? Well, yeah. Why would I tell anyone that I'm getting better, or why would I want to get better? I'm not going to miss out on this.
So not only are they printing trillions, not only are they making trillions from us paying taxes with our hard-earned money that we earned, they're sending money to other countries when we're in a mess.
Yeah.
That is wild to me.
Yeah.
It's just like, how could you expect people to respect that?
Yeah.
Anyone that has a brain that actually thinks it through and understands the system will not respect that.
Yeah.
And we can't have everybody rebelling, but we got to have people that step up and do something about it and help.
Yeah.
Because people are suffering from their lack of inadequacy and their greed and their selfishness.
Yeah. I think people are waking up to find out that the federal government isn't going to help them when in time and need. So they are starting to now figure out that community and local government and that is what we need. Yeah. Hopefully. So as much as fucked up as this, the curtain's basically open to see like who is actually pulling the strings now and what is actually going behind the scenes.
Which is what people need.
Yes. 100%. It's a hard shot of reality, but I think it's for the better. Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah. And I had a partnership with Michael Francis, who's a big old mobster guy. Now he's changed his life because God, which is amazing, and Mike Tyson. And they said the same thing about, they both been to jail. And they said the system after someone gets released is so bad that I think 88 or 90 something % of people that get out of jail go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're putting the system.
Recidivism rates are fucking huge. Well, you think about it, like I've thought about this. It's like life keeps going on even when you go to jail, right? So everything is tied to your credit score if you don't get rid of that system, more or less. So you go bankrupt when you're in because all your debts are still like, they're still looking for you. And you come out and your credit score's fucked. You're a felon. You can't get a fucking job.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do?
I don't know. Yeah.
Supposed to go back to the old hustle. This is all I know. Because there's no one. This is all I know, dude. Yeah. Like, there's no one here helping me. So,
it does. Tell me your guys. We'll end on this. Tell me your guys' thoughts on a lot of this would be solved if there was stronger men that handled business and responsibility, and handled their family. I've had weak men in my family. I've seen weak men ruin families because they don't handle business. They're not there for their kids. They're putting pleasures before purpose and before their priorities, and it's killing families. So I think men do need to step up and play their part to be there for their kids, to make sure their kids are raised right, to make sure people do what's right, not what's easy. Mm-hmm. And a lot of problems would be solved if there were stronger men, period.
I agree.
Women wouldn't have to be manly if the men were manly. There's all these women trying to like win bodybuilding competitions and change the world, be the CEOs. That's great. But if you had a strong man, you wouldn't want to do that. You'd want to be more feminine. That's a fact. They say that. If a man is feminine, the woman has to be masculine. As a family, I think how God created it was there's a masculine man that handles business, takes care of the family, and the woman wants to be the nurturer for the family. There's just not that much of that. And it's causing all this weird chaos in the world. I'm not saying that causes people to go to jail, but it's a part of it. I think it's, God, I got to remember the exact stat. 70-something % of inmates never had fathers. They were fatherless. Mm-hmm. If they just had dads and they're just starving to be a part of something, whether that's a gang, whether it's something else, people are starving to be a part of something. So if we can create communities, all of us, and help people, maybe if they don't have a dad, be the role model, things would change. They really would. So respect to you guys for stepping up, being real men, doing something like this. And all the men listening, trust me, there's nothing more rewarding than being useful and being productive and taking care of the people around you. There's no greater feeling for me than taking care of my kids, my wife, and my family, and being a rock for people around me. Mm-hmm. And if more people did that, it's worth way more than money. I've had billionaires look me in the face and say, trust me, don't make billions. There's nothing positive. He goes, don't make billions. Too much stress. I never see my family. My kid hates me. I've had billionaires tell me that to my face.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't want to sacrifice so much to chase these billions when I realize that what matters is people right in front of me. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm still going to make money because I don't like the system, and you need to have money to have choices, to have freedom. But at the same time, you got to understand who you are and what you want and your priorities. So I hope this inspires people to act different and to change because the world needs it.
Yeah, that's for sure. Damn, we'll have to do a part 2 if you're willing, because I could go down rabbit holes for a lot. Peter, where can people find you? I know that you have a very strong presence on social media. You have a very strong presence on podcast. Where can people find you?
If they want my books, it's on Amazon. I don't have any pitches or anything. I was thinking about on the way over here. I'm like, what is the most valuable thing that the audience can get? If we have a blueprint at peterjvoogd.com/blueprint, if you guys want to put it up, it's free. And it's the top 20 business ideas that I feel will be the most lucrative in the next 12 to 24 months. It's like a cool, if you want to make your first 100K online, or you want to figure out what career path to take, it'll give you some guidance on that, some resources, a roadmap. It's free, and they can check that out. I think that might be helpful for them because it'll help them kind of think about what skills are relevant to make them money. And then my books are on Amazon. If you haven't made your first 6 figures yet, I think 6 months of 6 figures would really help. If you've already made your first 6 figures, I think 7 rules, 7 figures. If they want to check out my academy, it's application based, so they have to apply. But if they really like have that ambition to get to that next level and they want to be around a bunch of other game changers, gamechangersmovement.com. But of course,
gamechangersmovement.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if they apply, they'll talk to the team and see if they're qualified. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for having me on. This has been amazing.
Dude, appreciate your time, man.
Yeah,
this has been great.
Yeah, we'll have to do a part 2.
Yeah, because I could go back into religion. I think we can go into all different routes. Some
people need it. Let's do it.
Yeah,
we'll do it soon.
Agree.
So guys, let us know what you think of the podcast. Obviously, any questions you might have too regarding today's topics, throw them in the comments section down below. And if need be, we'll loop Peter back in and see if we can answer these questions for you guys. So we appreciate you guys. We'll see you next week. Black Sheep out.
See ya.